witches.
Sup?
Ooh. All right, now we're getting a little crazy tonight. Okay, so tonight we are talking about witch's grimoire. You might call it your Book of Shadows. You might call it Henry. I don't know, Bob. You might call it your Black Book. So tonight we're talking about our books and basically giving prompts, tips, tricks, and all that jazzy stuff. If you have any questions, we have to do this a little differently now because Google Hangouts is being they're getting rid of it, and so you're gonna have to schedule through. We have to schedule through YouTube. So there's a chat feature on YouTube, and I'm pointing over here because that's where my desktop is. And if you want to talk, if you want to interact, if you want to ask questions, you can do it through that, because I haven't found out how to use the Q&A like Google Hangouts normally has it through YouTube. So they have a chat feature if you want to chat, if you want to ask questions, you want to share anything, use the chat feature or comment on the video. We'll have fun. But we are going to discuss something specific tonight because we are in the waning phase of the moon, because we just had our full moon, which was wonderful. The days before, not so much, but we're in the waning phase. And so we decided that it'd be beneficial to express, entries that you can put into your grimoire, specifically for this, specifically dealing with the waning phase of the moon. Right?
Yeah. Yes, and this helps with your whole getting into a daily regimen. Not that I write in my grimoire daily, because I totally do not. But I do try to write it at the very least once a week. I'm trying to get more in the practice of writing in it about at least 3 or 4 times a week, really. So, which is challenging for me because I really suck at journaling.
So let's talk about the waning moon, the waning phase. Let's talk about the energy that it offers us. Let's discuss its magical influence. And y'all, you should have in your book something that, a topic, a header, a page, just for the waning phase. That way, when you are in this phase, you can go to it and you can see all the different ideas, and the different things that you can utilize the power of this aspect of moon for. So let's talk about the waning moon. What is the waning moon? What do we do during this time? And how can we benefit from it?
Well, the waning moon is, waning to pull away from, to go away. Wane away, I guess. So just thinking of it in that context, the moon is phasing out into the dark moon phase and then again to the new moon. So I use that time for anything I need to get rid of, banishing, anything I want to pull away from myself. So, and to me, banishing is really easy to work with. I mean, you can take all the stuff, let's say you started a spell on the new moon and you want it to grow, you want to attract things in order to kind of keep that spell going past the full moon. You can banish the opposite, such as if you're wanting to attract love, then you can banish obstacles that are in the way of love, such as, anxious feelings, people that you feel like are hindering you, or, just what have you. So to me, it's really easy to think of the opposite of whatever I did at the new moon, or the, waxing moon? I was like, what is it called again? But the waxing moon, and just do the opposite for the waning moon, to banish. It's a great time to do, road opening spells, because you can just banish obstacles in general, if that's what you want to do. So that's what I like to use it for, in general, is just banishing things, pulling things away from me. Especially if it's people, if you have a really shitty neighbor, the waning moon is excellent to get them the hell out, or at least far enough away from you that you don't have to interact with them. you know. So there's all kinds of things you can do on the waning moon.
I do like that. And again, you know, the waning, when you open your book or when you create that page, you want to write about the waning phase, you want to express it, but you also want to take it into you. So when you experience that, you go outside and bring that energy into you so you can actually filter it through your own process, and you can get to know it and feel it out and see how it feels to you. And I would do that, you know, constantly. So you have your own perception, your own interpretation of how it feels for the moon to be waning. And, you know, it's when the moon's decreasing in size, you know, and that's a great energy to break habits, to start a healthy routine, which I'm going to. It's a good phase to really work on altering things, altering with any y'all. So, so it is. It's a very great time to focus on getting what you want, like you said, by the exact opposite nature almost. So breaking habits, you know, diminishing things and banishing. I enjoy it for getting rid of people, troublesome people, because there are times when, you know, people are in a very harsh relationship, very abusive relationship, and that situation is not changing. And so depending on, you know, the situation, I will wait to do something until the moon is like waning. I don't always wait, but if I already know that situation is going to take some time to really be handled, then I know that I can wait for the waning because it's perfect for that, and I'll utilize the influence of the moon to get rid of an individual, to uproot them, and to send them packing. So that's a great thing to do. And, you know, different people, different personalities, the way you send them off is going to, you know, depend on your own personal practice and what you enjoy and how you enjoy getting rid of people. But yes, so yeah, start your book with the waning moon, you know, in that section. Write down, you know, generalizations, write down what you feel, write down, you know, how you interpret it yourself, like what, and another thing, sorry, I went all over the place, but you can take like different subjects, say, contemplate how can you utilize the waning moon for love, and then put in your waning section, put love, and then write down your feelings, write down the different ways you can use the waning moon for love. And why don't we talk about that? How can we work with the waning moon in love?
Ooh, that'll be fun. And, you know, also, I like to, I know this is a little bit off that, and I'm going to move right on to love, but I also like to pay attention to the way I feel, especially when it comes to, like, how my intuition during certain phases of the moon, because they're very, very different, and different things are, like, more, are easier to access during certain times of the moon. And I think that's really important and something I like to keep track of, especially in my grimoire, because I can go back and see how I've progressed and how I've learned to work different phases of the moon into my divination differently. So I think that's something, and you know, it's really beneficial to have a record of that for yourself, so you kind of know where you need to work and where you don't need to work on, you know. But anyway, love is so much fun. For me, since I'm in an established relationship that's gone on for over a decade, whenever I think about love and the waning moon, I like to banish things that, you know, may hinder our relationship in certain ways. Like some months we have very big issues on communication. And it's not that we aren't communicating, but it's like he'll say something and I'm like, I don't even understand why you're talking to me about this. And I'll say something and he takes it the total wrong way. So communicate, you know, banish communication issues to help promote a good, loving relationship. You know, communication is extremely important. Banishing any kind of unwanted, lingering arguments or feelings that are not healthy for the relationship. And what's great about banishing things like this during the waning moon is when you roll back around to the new moon, you can replace those things that you banished, so you don't have like this void where other crap can start up, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know, whenever you take away a problem, sometimes a new problem can arise, but if you work it out throughout the whole, moon cycle, you can replace those issues with better attributes, I guess is the word I'm looking for, during the waxing moon, during the new moon and waxing moon. So, but yeah, you can do all kinds of things as far as like if you are having issues with finding a lover. You can banish all the attributes that you're not looking for. Like if you did a spell to attract a lover and you get like all these kinds of people and you're like, oh, okay, I need to redefine what I really want here. Because some of these guys seem great, or girls seem great at first, and then I get to know them after a while, and it's like, oh my God, Freak City. So I need to redefine what I want. So I'm going to banish these attributes. I do not want someone who's trying to offer me an engagement ring on the second date. I don't want someone that's texting me every 5 minutes, or whatever. And you can do that, to help the process. Our spells are often better as we add to them and refine them, because we know better what we want, especially when we've experienced a lot of what we don't want.
Right. I like that. So again, I'm gonna like keep tying it all together. So you have your waning generalization, and then you have a section on a topic, let's say love, and you have your love section, and you talk about how it can be utilized, and then what follows could be like formulas, herbs, different things that are good for that specific topic. And in love, you can actually use the waning process to pretty much get rid of that hurt, that pain, because especially for people who are going through a massive breakup, people who are really in pain and hurting, it's a challenge to really experience that. And it's really weird that I'm talking about this right now, because on Facebook they have those on this day 500 fucking years ago, and one of my posts for today had to do with a past relationship and experience I had. And it's perfect for now, because then you can go back and see how it still makes you feel, and if you're still invested into the emotional aspect of it, because we don't really think about that. We don't think to go back to old relationships, revisit that, and then release it. If they still influence you, then you can utilize the waning moon to take that from your heart, to keep the lessons, to keep the experiences, and to banish what no longer serves you. We can banish the shards of glass that are in your heart. You can use that to really take that out and get rid of them.
Yes, definitely, especially if you've had any trauma where it concerns relationships. Even if it wasn't necessarily a romantic relationship, but that it does influence your perception of romantic relationships, anything like that. And like Michael said, if you put down the herbs, herbs that you've used, I like to, now my grimoire is all kinds of crazy. It is not organized because I'm not an organized person. So I'm extremely spontaneous. So I just will put headers at the top, even though they're not all in the same section. You just flip through and just kind of all randomy. But because that's just me. But whenever you're thinking about the waning moon and you do a specific spell, make sure you write down the spell. I'm really bad about that, and that's the reason why I'm harping on it. Write down the spell and write down the waning moon, and you can even look at the, you know, where the zodiac sign the moon is currently under. All that. I mean, try to get as specific as possible. So, you know, later on, when you have results, I always leave at least a little bit of space, or like the back of the page, because I write on both sides of the page. I try to cram as much shit as I can in there. So, you know, on the back of the page, you can write down, okay, well, it seemed to work this way, and maybe if I try under a different, you know, zodiac sign, or later on in the waning moon, because the waning moon lasts for several days, then maybe this would work better. So, again, it's like totally up to you and how organized or seemingly organized you want to be. But to me, it is very beneficial because I can learn from my mistakes.
Right. And, you know.
And, you know, like, make it better if it needs to be.
Right. And, you know, like, and I know it's such a challenge, y'all. And that's kind of why we probably emphasize that you should be writing shit down and keeping note, because when you're so spontaneous and when you do so much shit, like, you forget. And you forget to write something down, you get really great results, but you don't have the full thing done. And then keeping very detailed records, because let's say, like, right now, the moon is going through Aries. And, you know, we know that Aries is very warlike. It's that initial response. It's very childlike, too. That aggressive nature and wants experience, and so rushes into things and creates, like, friction in order to experience itself. So that's Aries. And so if you have an Aries energy, if you have that situation, you know that you can work with the waning moon. I don't know why I'm using my hands like this, but you can work with the waning moon, because apparently the waning moon is right here, and Aries is, like, right in here. So you can take the waning moon, you can combine it with Aries energy, and you can see how you can banish Aries qualities, or you can work with this moon currently to banish, you know, very fiery experience. So, and, you know, let's say that your spell didn't work, or it didn't work as planned. If you understand that your moon is going through Aries at this moment, maybe Aries was too much. Maybe you didn't need to get rid of that fire essence, or you need to tackle it from a different perspective. That is good to know, because it might have not been your core. It might have not been the spell that was wrong. It could have been you did it on the wrong day, in a sense, because the Aries energy, the Aries influence, was too much. It might have burned up too fast, so your spell didn't have enough time to get to where it was needed, because that Aries energy, like, just, it burned it, you know. And these are things to take into consideration when you're writing your spells down, when you're writing things down. And I would, in my grimoire, put in, like, the different moon phases and the different zodiac signs that they're in and how they feel, because I would take that into me as they process through the zodiac, and I would feel it, and I'd become it, and see and listen to spirit and listen to the energy and see how that can influence my craft. And so when I go to cast, I have all of this information, this personal information that is you know, personalized from me to me by all this, and I can make a best and a great decision on how to cast during these phases.
Right, and, like, if you're going to banish, like, a thought process when it comes to love, you may not want to do, because that, you know, intellect, thought deals with air. You may not want to do that during the waning moon that's in Aries, because, you know, that might fuel a fire that you're not meaning to fuel. Right. So you take that, you just need to take that in consideration. And again, you know, sometimes it's just one of those things, it needs to be done now. But if you think about what, you know, if I need money right now, let's say I'm, like, totally broke, and I'm like, God, I need money now. I'm not necessarily going to do a spell, even though I need to do it right now, that attracts money to me because it's the waning moon. Instead, I'm going to banish whatever obstacles are in my way to help that money flow to me faster. So even though a lot of times you will hear witches say, well, if you have to do it, you just have to do it, and that is true, that doesn't mean that you have to totally ignore the moon phase.
Well,
like,
cash smart.
You know, especially whenever, like I said, if you need cash, and it's the waning moon, and it's an Aries, that is perfect. That fire energy is perfect for burning away the shit that's in your way. Right. You know, that would be like the ideal spell to do right now, because it's an Aries, has all this fire energy. You know, and so you would use like maybe a few fiery herbs to help, you know, speed it up, because you want fast cash.
Right, and that's the thing I was going to say. Like, it's great for fast cash, too. And for those of you, especially for people who are, like, self-employed, or people who are self-employed, you know, you run your own business. You're doing hair,
Right.
you're doing, you know, readings, you sell crystals. You have that market. You have your customers that are going to buy from you. So if you need fast cash, this is a perfect time to create like an oil almost, or a powder, or whatever spell that's specific, because you have the Aries, the fire energy that it charges, it creates, it's so fast, and then you have that waning phase where it's going to get rid of. So you're like taking that and you're getting rid of something. So you're getting rid of the obstacles for your business to thrive. So it'd be perfect for people who are self-employed.
Yes, so great for people who are self-employed, especially since as self-employed people, we all know that, you know, there's just no rhyme or reason. It's not like you necessarily have a guaranteed amount of cash every day coming in. So it's perfect for those of us who are self-employed, like, damn, I really need some money right now. So, and those are things you could take in consideration. Like, if it was the waxing moon, I would be thinking about this completely differently. But because it's the waning moon in Aries, it's just really simple to formulate a spell with those things in mind. So I think a lot of times that's misconstrued by people when they say, well, you can cast for whatever, whenever, it doesn't matter. And that's so true, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily in your best interest to try to attract money during the waning moon. There's a way to manipulate that to work in your favor.
Right. You don't handle the situation the same way, because when you're in a situation, you assess your surroundings, you assess your environment, and then you make a proper call. You decide how to do what you need to do. And that's the same thing with casting, you know, casting spells. We want to cast smarter. We don't want to make it harder. We don't want to make it more difficult. So we assess the situation. What day is it? That influence. What's the moon? What's the moon phase? That influence. How is it going to influence my work? Okay. And then we take all that into consideration. If you don't take all of it, that's fine, but we take the basics. You know, the moon is important. It influences our working. Therefore, we need to know where we are emotionally. Apparently, emotions are like this, you know? So we need to know where we are emotionally invested, and that the moon is important for that. So we take that into consideration, and we make the proper decisions. So we have that, and that's another thing to utilize for your grimoire, your book of shadows. And another great thing to do, we'll move on a little bit, is talk about herbs. And it's not just like specific, like there's specific herbs for the waning phase. No, that's just limiting. We want to talk about all herbs, like, you know, any herb that you like to work with. You want to take its energy and see how it can be applied, because this is what I do. See how it can be applied in the waning phase. So you're taking this. I have this around me all the time. You're taking your sage. It smells so good. So you take your sage, and what can I utilize sage for in the waning phase? And that's what you'll have in your on your page. And just put, you know, waning phase, herbs, sage, and then write down a list of things that you can work with it. Write down what you've worked with it for, and write what you feel, because we know that sage, sage uplifts. Sage increases the vibration of an environment. It increases the frequency at which people experience. And so it takes stagnant energy and it brings it to a whole different level. Mm-hmm. And so when you're in the waning phase, you're banishing shit. How can that be applied? How can you take sage and apply it with banishing? Well, super, super fun, because sage uplifts. It stirs shit up. It kind of dusts for you, and it puts everything at the center, sort of. The waning phase clears it out. The waning phase will take everything that sage, sage comes in and uplifts, and it kind of uproots, and it raises the frequency, raises the vibration of something, and then the waning phase of the moon kind of comes in and just acts like the wind, and it goes away.
Right, yeah. That's awesome. Also, you can overcome, if you're banishing something that's something you consider a very low vibration skill set that you have. If I was going to try to banish my, unorganization, or my crappy organizational skills, I guess I should put it, I could use sage to raise my vibration, my mental vibration, to, be more proactive, to banish those unorganizational habits by uplifting the more OCD aspect of my psyche. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As a counterbalance. It's right. Well, I want to banish this, so in order to banish this, I need to raise up this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that would be a fun way to use it.
Yeah, because apparently I can't have a good conversation without stuttering. Okay, so as we know, the waning moon, it decreases in size because I'm doing this again. And so you take an herb, you take its influence, and it can actually be utilized to decrease something. So it's just perfect. And that's what you take into consideration, the properties of the waning phase, and then the properties of the herb, and see how they can have a great combo. And I just keep reiterating this because it's important to feel inspired when you're working your Book of Shadows, when you're working your grimoire, because a lot of people are like, I don't know what to put in it. This is all kinds of shit that you can put in it, and that will take you forever, because there's so many different herbs, there's so many different things, and there's just different combinations. And as you progress in your craft, you will start to think differently, and you will start to feel differently. So when you go back and revisit certain herbs and connections and combinations, you will be able to expand upon that. And so that's a fun and very inspirational thing to experience, because everything is constantly changing. It's constantly moving. And so your craft is never stagnant when you start thinking like this, when you start doing things like this.
Right, exactly. And there's so many times that I've experienced personally where I only have certain herbs on hand, and I don't have the time to order or go out and buy these herbs if I want to do a spell tonight, mainly because I live in a small town and every damn store is closed right now. So if I don't have it, and it's not in my garden, and it's not in my pantry, I'm screwed. So whenever you start looking at herbs in a different way, whenever you start saying, okay, well, I'm going to take this herb, I'm going to grab this, I don't have any herbs next to me, but I do have an orange. I'll grab this orange, and, I know how I would use orange during the waxing moon, because it's full of energy, but it also soothes, so you don't have that, anxious energy. You have, this really productive, warm, creative energy, and, orange oil does so many things, and I'm used to using it during the waxing moon, but during the waning moon, if I wanted to banish something, especially if it was something I was extremely anxious about. Orange could be used really well for that, especially like we were talking about love. If I have like anxiety over a certain aspect of my relationship, I could take this orange and maybe use the orange peels as an ingredient in a spell to help me get over that anxiety, help me get over the anxiety of that issue. Or, you know, I can even write down the stuff that makes me anxious on the actual orange and then set it out in the sun. And as the orange decomposes, all that anxiety goes away with it. You know, things like that.
Yeah, that's perfect for the waning phase too, because especially if you bury it, like as it, you know, it's a whole process. So it's taking you have something that's whole, and then through the process of the waning phase, it's decreased human size. That's perfect. Right. That's good. Another thing that you can do, especially like let's say with cayenne pepper, you know, that's very fiery and it's very intense. And cayenne, I'm gonna just go with love and lust here, can be very lusty and very powerful, very passionate. So we know that it revs up the engine, and so we have Aries right here, which is. Fire good, but Aries in bed, not always. Just sometimes it's just too fast. But seriously, you have the cayenne that revs up the engine, that has that fire nature, that speeds up like metabolism, and you have this like, intoxicating and very adventurous experience. Well, if you are trying to diminish that, if you are trying to tie someone's nature, if you are trying to make sure someone is not cheating, it's just, I ain't gonna judge. You do what you do. But if you're trying to make sure someone's impotent or anything like that, or you know, have a very low sex drive, you can use cayenne during the waning phase to diminish the potency of love, of lust, of desire.
Yes, make it, you know, burn out really fast. Like, oh, I'm really, really, really into you. And I'm not, because I've already gone, you know, it's gone through so fast. That emotion is going through my psyche so quickly. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it actually, you know, and putting it with Aries as well, you know, that's even better, because the other person's gonna be like, this person is too into themselves. They just want to, you know, bam bam, don't care about me. They just want to get off, and then it's just gross, and they're messy, and they're just I don't like it. And so they're gonna be turned off, and that's great. And so that's if that's what you want. So that's the perfect thing to take into consideration. Again, moon phase, herb, and the sign that the moon is in at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And how you feel and how you react to that side, to that specific phase too. That's really important. Like, if you are feeling super aggressive towards yourself right now, which with the waning moon, we tend to be a little bit more introverted, and then with Aries, you can understand why you're feeling this way and work something out to where you don't feel so harshly towards yourself, you know, and things like that. So that's also important. Like, if you figure out exactly why you feel the way you do, it's not so, you know, it doesn't affect you as much. It's not so, you know, affecting your entire day as much. So that like whole sentence didn't really make sense, but you know, it's Aries and we're having issues talking today.
Issues, absolutely, and that's because we just want to experience. We want to create friction. We want to create communication issues so we can have an experience, and that experience is going to be intense, fun, and short-lived. So yeah, and so again, y'all, it's super fun. Take that into consideration, the phase of the moon, the sign it's in, and then the energy of the herb you're using, and then you can do the same thing with crystals. You know, the same thing with anything. And that's super, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's beneficial, because I have a lot of people who have come to me and asked for help with their grimoire, their black book, their book of shadows, what they do with it, what, you know, they don't know what to put in it, and you don't put shit in it just to put shit in it. You don't go printing off spells and all this bullshit just to have a book that's full. No. Why not create your own experience and create a personal extension of yourself? This is an extension of yourself. This is an extension of the witch of your craft. And so it's important to write inside of it or type it on a piece of paper or whatever, print it out and put it in your book, but it's your material. And it's personal. And so, again, like you said, you have to understand how you feel during these aspects. Yes, Aries has a specific energy. Yes, the waning moon has a specific energy. Yes, your herb, your crystal is going to have a specific energy. But you also have a specific energy. And so how you interpret things, how you process their specifics is going to differ than maybe what I process or what Melissa processes. So that is the beauty of our experiences here and our craft, because it is an art form. And so take all that into consideration and write that shit down.
Definitely, because magic is a dance. You have to consider every little part, not just the music and not just the moves, but the fact that there are other people revolving around you, whether they're, directly affecting you or not. So you have all these little aspects to consider, and that's what's beautiful about writing this stuff down, and it's something that I keep reminding myself, if I just write this down, then I'd know next time. So this is not just a reminder for y'all, but a reminder for us that it's important to write these things down so you have an idea and your experience is recorded, and you know how to tweak it for the next time if you need to. And if it works out perfectly, you'll be like, oh my God, how did I do that? That's like one of my worst problems, is something will work out really well, and I'm like, well, shit, what did I do? And I don't even remember what day it was on, much less, what the moon phase was or what have you. So this helps you, and if you find something that works really well, then you wait till those specific, energies are present to do it again, or just to see what would happen, because, we witches like to do stuff like that. Try it on a different phase and a different, zodiac sign, under a different zodiac sign, and see what happens.
Exactly. And so, again, y'all, there's so much you can do with this. And your grimoire, your Book of Shadows, is your own. It's so personal, and have fun with it. It's an experience, and it's something that you want to keep fluid, and you don't want to be turned off by. And that's why when you connect with all these things and you add your personal perception of it, it's priceless, It
is.
And so, let's see. If you have any questions, y'all, YouTube, the chat, feel free to do that and say something. If you have any comments, if you're watching a recording, utilize the comment section in our video and just comment, what do you like to add in your grimoire for the waning phase? Do you have a section in your grimoire for the waning phase of the moon? Are there any prompts? Is there anything specific that you do during this time and you add to your book? Let's talk about that. You utilize the comments. We'll talk about that, and that'll be fun. And we'll definitely add more stuff as we go, just because that's what we do. But let's kind of come up as we close. Let's share a basic way that people can create for themselves a banishing spell. So.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. What are you saying?
Let's see. Okay, well, for me, one of the easiest ways for me, at least the way my mind works, to create a banishing spell is to first obviously focus on what I want to banish. So if I'm wanting to banish a person, then I'm going to, gear it towards them. Let's say I want to banish an annoying neighbor, which I did that like a couple months ago. It worked really well. So, you know, what do I want to do? Do I want to use a jar, a witch's jar? Do I want to use a mojo bag? Or do I just want to do like a candle spell? So figure that part out. If you want to do, say, a candle spell, you can use banishing herbs, especially if you want them to go fast, like as much as like we use cayenne for like, you know, lust and love. You can also use it to move their ass along, you know, faster. Light a fire under their ass, like literally. So black candle, cayenne, maybe a little black pepper, with something like olive oil to like put them in, you know, to anoint the candle itself with, because olive oil is kind of a peaceful thing, and you want them to leave without giving you shit. You don't want it to be a process where it's like super annoying and they're always there, you know, trying to ask you to help them move their shit and stuff. You don't want to deal with that. So quietly move out in the night is the goal, you know. So maybe you etch their name, or if you want to come up with a sigil on the candle, anoint with some olive oil, put the herbs around the candle, on the candle, whatever you feel like. Just remember it's hot stuff, so use gloves if you're like sensitive. And then I would do a petition paper, writing exactly, you know, how I want them to move, how fast, the date I want them out by, whatever. Burn the petition paper with a candle, let the candle burn out, throw all the remnants in their yard. Ta-da! And that's even really wonderful for like right now because of the whole Aries and getting them out fast. Utilizing that fire energy.
Fire. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. Actually, something that I'd probably do, and this is something you can add to your own grimoire if you'd like, is what I do ever so often, because I think that a lot of us, everyone, has issues with and challenges with self-love and acceptance and feeling okay in one's body and feeling confident and all that. So what I actually do is I will take a candle, I will take a candle, but I'll take an apple. I'll take an apple and I will cut like a hole in the center, and I will stick a candle in it, and the candle is going to represent what I am banishing, and what I want to like get rid of. So it might be self-doubt, you know, and so whatever. I'd probably utilize black for self-doubt, just for me. But whatever you personally connect with, self-doubt, or, you know, maybe self-hate, you know, because if you hate yourself or if you think you're ugly, just different things, you know, you can put in there. And I would mark the candle, and I would anoint it with oils. And again, it just depends on what you want to do. It depends, and that would depend on what you would utilize. But I would do that. Of course, light the candle, allow it to process, and once it's burned down, once the apple's consumed all of the juices and the wax and everything, once the candle's out, I would bury it. Mm-hmm. I would bury the apple. And as the earth takes the apple and takes it back, you know, takes it back into her, and I would probably make an offering to Gaia, just because we're like that, you know. As she takes her stuff back, as she takes my self-hate, my feeling of being ugly, she takes my self-doubt, you know. So, and I use an apple because apples represent wisdom and love, and I want to be surrounded in that. But I also know that there's a combination where there's that I need, but I also have this negative or more challenging thing that needs to be a part of that, so I can take it and get rid of it, and I can give it to the earth, and I can replace at the same time with something more fitting. And it's very simple, and it's very, you can customize it to your own needs, but I love the fact of having an apple and burying it in the earth, and having the earth take it. Mm-hmm. And that's another way. Before we close, there is a question, Kit. Just curious what either of you think of using blackberry bramble for binding, banishing, or uses during the waning moon.
I wouldn't necessarily use it for binding because, for the simple fact, like I wouldn't think about binding during the waning moon because binding is sort of a stasis versus a banishing. You know, binding sort of keeps someone in their place wherever you want them to be. So maybe not necessarily binding, but as far as like, am I going to, well, because when I think of blackberry brambles, is that what it was?
Blackberry bramble, yeah.
Yeah. When I think about that, I don't necessarily think about using it in a banishing type situation, but something to like entangle someone. But it is great for like entangling them. If you've ever had any experience with blackberry brambles, they stick to everything. So like a sticky situation, you know, where they get entangled in their own whatever, you know, what have you, then I would use it for that for sure. Or if you wanted, like, you can honestly, if you're into the kinky stuff, you can use it in a very positive manner for love to entwine you and your lover if you don't mind y'all being entangled in a kind of kinky way.
I like that. And, you know, you could also use it if you are in a situation where you're, like, fucked up, you're entangled, you know, and you just can't see your way out. You can use that to banish it because you're banishing the blackberry essence. So you can use that to banish that energy. So take that into consideration. You could also use it to banish people by the form of creating like a hedge almost, where they're getting away because they're being pushed out by this massive growth, you know, and you're diminishing their influence as the blackberry essence like increases, you know.
Right. Yeah, and they do grow very prolifically in certain areas, so that would be perfect.
They really do.
Push them out of your personal space, especially.
It almost reminds me of like Sleeping Beauty with Maleficent, you know.
That's
what it reminds me of, and that's kind of what you can utilize it for. Just that growth and you know, getting rid of that. But
personal space, man.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, if you wanted to do something like create a puppet of yourself, and I wouldn't want it necessarily touching me because then that can get kind of painful, but if you just like laid the puppet down and put the blackberry brambles in a circle in a wreath, maybe, wear gloves, but in a wreath around you to sort of as a like protection, stay away from me, stay out of my space kind of thing, that would be awesome.
Right. Absolutely. You can use it to banish, you know, your feeling of not being protected or your feeling of not being safe, and use the blackberry to increase that safety. So yeah, that's what we would utilize that for.
Yes, I would put, like, if I did that, have the poppet, put the brambles around the poppet where it's not really touching it. You know, give yourself plenty of space inside the little circle so you can move around easy. But then, like, I would write down on pieces of paper on the outside of it, to place it on the outside, people you want to stay on that side of the brambles, or emotions that you want to stay, like anxiety or, you know, that would be cool, and put them on pieces of paper on the outside of the brambles, like, okay, y'all are going to stay out here. And then as the moon wanes and becomes dark, you can burn one or two an evening. You know, and be like, okay, I'm going to banish this, I'm going to burn this. Yes.
I love that. I like it. Well, she's like, thanks so much for your insight. I have tons of it growing in my backyard and love hearing your thoughts. Well, that's super fun because then you have on your personal space, you can create, like you said, create that, put it there, and then utilize the whole moon process to deal with it. That is super fun. I wish I had some.
I'll never get near mine. We have a whole bunch. I'll never get near mine because that's where the snakes love to hide at the base of them all the time. I don't know why they like those areas, but it always freaks me out.
I don't like that much. I don't like it, but yeah. So y'all, we hope you enjoyed this process. We hope you can take something of insight, of inspiration from what we've said, and then apply it to your Book of Shadows, your Grimoire, your Black Book process. If you enjoyed what we offer, please let us know. Comment on our video. If you want us to comment on anything else, if you want us to do more of prompts like this, let us know. We have fun doing this. We enjoy it, and we enjoy interacting with you.
Definitely. Lots of fun.
Absolutely. But until next time, y'all, we will talk to you later. Peace.
Bye.